Are you looking for a podcast where you can hear from real people regarding their real dental drama? If so, then you've come to the right place. Join hosts Bethany Petty and Dr. Rena Kuba as we dive into the solutions we've created and the mistakes we've made while managing dental drama. Let's get started.
How are you?
Hey, I'm good.
Happy Sucktember. I now call it Sucktember after your podcast a few years ago.
It is sucky in so many ways, isn't it?
Hopefully this one won't be too sucky. Yeah. So I would like to today have an episode of what would Bethany do. I've got a couple of scenarios that are, let's just say, we'll call them hypothetical.
You're not fooling anybody with that.
They've happened in somebody's office. And I just wanted to know what you would do about it if it happened to one of your clients.
Okay. I am so ready for these.
Okay.
Fire away.
So funny word choice. Fire away. Okay. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you about, and I alluded to it a few episodes ago about an employee, like building up to what led to a termination. So I think, it was like kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, I guess, because there had been performance issues and things like that. And I won't get into everything, but so it was a huge performance issue thing. And then it was a culture issue thing too. So let's see, how can I, nip this? We'd had an incident the week before, which I spoiler alert, I'm going to ask you what you would do about that.
Oh, okay.
But so that incident had happened the week before, and it really made my blood boil. And then, maybe I should have started with that one. But anyway. And then the next week, she apparently, again, amidst all the performance issues, and then we were out for a week for this, so we were out a week for COVID, and we were out for this, so we didn't handle that task, whatever, right? So all of this is ongoing. It's like, we're getting exhausted, but we're trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. Like, let's just hang in there. Well, we do a bonus system in the summer, especially with, if we, produce a certain amount one day, and then you get to pull out of a bucket a chip for
a certain dollar
amount. And what makes it more interesting in the summer, especially, I mean, it's like this year round, but in the summer, especially because in a pedo office we're busy, we have the opportunity because we're seeing so many kids. The chances of bonusing are really good, really high. Versus September, we're not going to bonus. We know we're not. Like, that's that. But part of what we did, like, we'd had this bonus, we took it away, we brought it back, and part of the parameter of it, one of the issues we were having was lateness. So people coming in late, and it wasn't clinical team, it was front team, all of them. And so the thought was, well, if we bonused on Monday, then you got to pull on Tuesday. So you're pulling a chip out of a bucket for $5, $10, whatever.
In huddle, Tuesday morning
in huddle. And then if we bonus Tuesday, and you were there, you worked Monday and Tuesday, you got to pull 2 chips. So the chances of you getting a bigger bonus, it all adds up. So part of what we tied it to, which we'd never done before, but we did it this time because we were having issues of people getting to huddle on time. And then the problem with when you're not in huddle, I mean, that's the recipe for the day. Like, this is where we're exchanging important information. It's our football play huddle. We're about to go out on the field. We want to catch that ball. We want to make a touchdown. But we can't do that if the coach is in the bathroom and the quarterback is eating his breakfast, right? Like, you need to be teed up, ready to go. We're going to talk about our plan, and you hit the floor and you go perform. And people being late to that, then no wonder we're not scoring the touchdown, because people are all over the place because they don't have the information they need because they missed it.
Right.
So one of the parameters we made around the pulling bonus was, that's fine if you worked Monday and you made bonus. So you're working, showing up, working hard. You contributed to the success of that day. Therefore, you get to pull the next morning. But the caveat we made to that was, you need to be on time to morning huddle, because we're pulling at the beginning of huddle. And so if you roll in at 7:06, you don't get to pull for Monday. You're foregoing your bonus because you are late, which sounds mean to some people. But to me, like, by 7:06, you're actually 6 minutes late. Because you should have walked into the practice at 7 to clock in, get your stuff, turn on your computer, and get to huddle by 7:05.
Right.
So, so by 7:06, you don't get to pull. So that we were very clear about that this year when we started it back. The other caveat was, which to me, it's like, I don't know, I think your 5-year-old could get this concept. Yeah. If you leave early in the day, then you weren't there that day. You don't get to pull.
Right.
Like, is that a hard concept? Is that mean? Is that convoluted? Is that like...
To me, it's crystal clear. If you go, similar to your game analogy, if you go and play the first half of the game, even if you did a great job the first half of the game, if you weren't there, if you left at halftime and you left the team on their own for quarters 3 and 4 because you had something you had to go do, and the team wins the game, do you get any contribution for that? No, you didn't finish the game. You left your team in the middle of the game,
so they had to work that much harder.
They had to work harder to compensate.
And they still won.
And they won,
but they had to bust it a man down.
That's right. So you don't get to own the success of that. Even if you teed them off great, you left.
But I'm the one who scored 3 of the 4 touchdowns in the first quarter.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. If you're not there at the finish line, to me, you can't. It's not fair if the team bonuses for that and you also bonus even though you only played half the game. Same thing with a team member. If you worked on Monday and we hit goal on Monday and you were there the whole day and you show up on time to huddle the next day, great, you get your bonus. If you leave half the day on Monday and we hit bonus on Monday and you were only there half a day, you forego the bonus.
Like, to me, it's pretty straightforward and pretty simple.
Yeah.
And so then the question, well, but I was there half the day, so why don't I get half the amount? Or you know what? The bonus is extra. Mm-hmm. It's extra. And the minute you start making something hard for me that I've got to track, the whole thing's going to go away. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking it's pretty crystal clear. Like, it's common sense as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And so maybe you and I have a different version of common sense. I don't know. But to me, this is pretty common sense, pretty straightforward. And yet, the number of people that want to sit and grovel and argue and discuss and debate and come... I'm just like, what are y'all doing? Like, what are you doing? Anywho, this team member came in that morning and she had on... I may have talked about this. On Tuesday, stops me in the middle of patient care in the hallway and is like, my son was on a wait list for a doctor's appointment. They just called me. They have an opening tomorrow. Can I take it? Yes, you need to take it. Now, technically, I should be charging her PTO time because it's during our peak time. I should have said no because she didn't put in a notice, like all of the above. So to me, there's already so much grace and going towards her situation that, like, yes, go take care of your kid. We will figure it out. Mm-hmm. Figure it out we did. But she left at lunch. Mm-hmm. So, and this is a full day. So it's not like she was there for 7 of the 8 hours. But even if she was 7 of the 8 hours, still that last hour that everybody had to make it without her.
That's right.
Those are the rules. Plain and simple. But she missed half the day. And for us, the afternoons are often busier than the mornings are. Anyway, the next morning in morning huddle, when it came time to pull and they bypassed her and she's like, well, why don't I get to pull? We bonused yesterday. Well, yeah, but you left it half the day. Well, that's bullshit. So my question, what would Bethany do? What should we do with that situation, ma'am?
So first of all, I do think it needs to be addressed very quickly. I would nip it in the bud in the moment. So there in morning huddle is not the time to be like, well, why do you say that? Why do you think it's bullshit? Did you not understand the rule? And don't address it right then in huddle because it's going to distract from what huddle is meant to do. It's meant to get your team ready to go out on the field and play. And that's going to be a distraction that your team doesn't need. So in that moment, I would be like, we'll talk about that after huddle. And then move on with the huddle and go forth. But as soon as huddle's over or as soon as you can, you need to pull that person in and go, I'm assuming there's some confusion on your part about the bonus because your reaction to not getting your chip for yesterday when you only worked half the day was that's bullshit. But this is one of the key rules of the bonus. So tell me your confusion about it and just kind of turn the table and have her talk because she's obviously wanting to be heard. She said very publicly, well, that's bullshit. So she's trying to created conversation in the wrong way. So you need to give her a chance to say something, even if she's...
But this is not new, right? This is like June, July, August. Like we've been at it for 10 weeks. And for you to say that now, basically what you're saying is that rule is bullshit. Mm-hmm. And you didn't care when it affected anybody else, or you did care, you didn't say anything, but now it affects you. Mm-hmm. So for the $5 you were going to pull, you're going to make a stink right now about that. But if I did have a conversation with you, and now you come and you're like, well, that's a stupid rule because I had to go because of my son's doctor's appointment, then what am I going to say?
Yeah, you're going to say the rules are the rules. We made up the rules, irregardless of why you need to be out. It does not say half a day unless there's a doctor's note, or half a day. The whole point is you did not put in the full day that everybody else did. Therefore, you should not get the bonus. The bonus is for going above and beyond. You actually went below beyond. You didn't even finish out the day. So no matter how successful the first part of your day was, the rule is regardless. You don't work the full day, you don't get the bonus. And so, to me, the conversation, it needs to be another line in the sand. Now, I know there were all kinds of rumblings about the bonus and what qualified, what didn't qualify, confusion about that. I think senseless confusion. I think the confusion was fabricated, like, let's dramatize this.
Well, but honestly, like, and again, I could get myself in trouble saying this, but it was our front desk. Nobody in the back. The back doesn't even care. They're just there to see the patients, do a good job. You need sealants. We're going to make sure you get sealants. You need a crown. We're going to make sure you get a crown. You need nothing. We're going to make sure you get nothing. Mm-hmm. Like, we're taking care of our patients. If we bonus, great. If we don't bonus, great. Like, we're just taking care of our patients. That's what I expect out of my office. All the questions, the humdrum, the was all from our front desk, which is why we find ourselves in the situation we were last year. Somebody's got to go because y'all are making life miserable and you're not even doing your jobs. You've been out for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And you should have been penalized the rest of your, like, but you're going to sit here and squabble about a half day that you didn't even take off properly because technically the answer should be no. You shouldn't have even come interrupt me in the middle of patient care on a busy day to ask about being off the next day. If you want to follow our policy manual, it says you need to put in for time off requests a month early.
Right.
So I should have said no. And that's where I think I was a little bitter going, I should have just said effing no. No, ma'am, and move on.
Yeah.
But you're going to have a stink regardless.
The key thing is, though, we can't allow that to continue. To me, the fact that she was... which we didn't, but the fact that she was bold enough to say something so negative in a group environment, in a huddle environment, at the start of a day, it's unacceptable behavior. So we can't just be like, oh, come on, Kathy, quit being like that. No, that needs to be nipped. And either that person, there's a tangible consequence, like, hey, since you disagree with some of the rules of the bonus, we're going to disqualify you from the bonus altogether for the last few weeks of this month. So if this is not somebody that is fireable, so to speak, then come up with some kind of tangible consequence to make it clear to this person that's not going to be tolerated. And even if it's not clear to that person, it's becoming clear to the team that is not tolerated. A bonus is extra. And if you want to complain about it or have a sour attitude about it, you know what? That's fine. We don't have to do it at all for you. So I do think there needs to be like a clear consequence. In this particular case, like you mentioned, it was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for this lady. She was kind of already on the chopping block in some ways, and that was just what pushed it over, and it was a clear decision to go ahead and release at that point. But some kind of consequence, I think, needs to happen after that conversation. That those kind of comments cannot be made without a consequence.
Well, and that, like you just said, that's not fireable. And to me, I'm like, but it is. That's such a culture problem.
Yeah.
To me, if you are squabbling over, well, I didn't get this, or what are you owed? Mm-hmm. Like, where's this entitlement coming from?
Yeah.
Because the only thing you are owed is your paycheck for the hours you work. That is all you are owed. And so for me, altogether, that is such a culture issue. I guess it's different if you really were asking and going, wait a minute, I don't qualify for the, okay. I just wanted to clarify, but that's not at all what this was. Yeah.
That's not what was said. That's not when it was said. It was said very publicly. That, to me, takes it away from question asking, which there had already been, by the way.
Yeah. For the first 10 weeks, there were already all these questions.
There were already, like, ad nauseum amount of questions. So there had been room to clarify. The clarification had been done. This was a negative comment made in front of multiple people. And not just like, oh, man, I hate that I don't get it. That's different than this is bullshit.
Yeah.
That's a very different tone and publicly. So there's got to be a strong nip in the bud for that. Now, if that's the pervasive theme and the bulk of your team feels that way,
that's an easy one.
That's
bonus
an easy
is
one.
gone, and
bonus
we'll never do that again.
Goes away,
yes. Yeah.
and we will go back to hourly pay, and that is that. Now, this was, I agree with you. I feel like this was rumblings at the front that were pretty chronic. The rest of the team is great about it. So we're not going to penalize the rest of the team for the actions of one or two.
Okay. So whether it's a bonus or whatever it is in your office, and you've got a sassy pants, like being very negative and culturally a culture bomb. Mm-hmm. So there you go. Nip it in the bud. That's the
nip it and nip it for the sake of that person, but also nip it for the sake of your team. Your team needs to see that you're not going to tolerate that. There's this concept of, well, why am I doing such a good job if this person can do half the job and they get paid just like I get paid? So we want to make sure that tone of negativity, your team needs to know that you're going to address that and that there's going to be a consequence to that, because the last thing we want is for that to then lead to the unintended consequence because we didn't deal with it. Susie got away with just saying this is bullshit in the meeting and nothing happened. That can lead to actually more negative behavior. I was telling you earlier while we were eating that one of my favorite people is Robert Cialdini, and I was re-listening to one of his books, and he talks about how the National Forest Commission put up these signs. It was like this petrified wood forest, and so they put up this sign in this forest saying, millions of petrified pieces of wood go missing every year. Please don't demolish this petrified wood forest. Interestingly enough, people actually stole more because it was like, oh, the bulk of people steal petrified wood. Now, in all actuality, it was a small percentage of people, but because it was kind of broadcast as this is the norm, this is what people do when they come into this forest, is they steal the petrified wood. People that wouldn't normally steal petrified wood would steal petrified wood, and you're like, that's so weird that works. It's all this social proof kind of concept where if we let Sally say this is bullshit and that just kind of goes and we're just like, yeah, that's what we do around here, we just openly air our complaints, that can actually increase. The people on your team that wouldn't complain about the bonus are now complaining about the bonus just because it seemed like, oh, this is what we do around here. So you want to make sure, the whole point is, nip it. Do not let this be something that your team sees is acceptable behavior.
Yes, and that she's no longer on the team.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so while we're sticking to her, this is what she had done the week before. So she had, I guess there was, there's a colleague of mine whose child needed some dental work. And trying to get the schedules aligned and all of that, right? So this person was our treatment coordinator, so she had a hand in getting the kiddo scheduled and all of that. But
Which is her job.
Which is her job. Yeah. But I don't think she had I don't think she did anything extra above and beyond at her way. It was just really like trying to coordinate when this colleague of mine could come in, because this colleague has a busy schedule as well, seeing patients like during the same hours. So it's going to be this like kind of to-do to get this kid in. And anyway, so colleague doesn't, comes maybe the week after. I think it was the day like we were going to see her kiddo for follow-up care. And because she's appreciative, we didn't charge her. We extended her the professional courtesy. And so she came in with a gift card tree and went to the front and said, here you go, ladies, like, y'all enjoy whatever she said, thank you for taking good care of my kid. And so that was that. So one of the other front desk ladies, like, brought it back to me and she said, here you go, here's this tree they brought for us with these gift cards on it. It's super cute. So she leaves it in the office. I'm like, okay, well, again, this is in the middle of summer, so we're busy. So at lunch or whatever it was, I got a chance and I'm counting and there were 10 gift cards on the tree. But I'm like, if you think about it, there's like 13 of us, something like that. And I was like, well, now what do? I can't distribute these because 3 people aren't going to get one.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to supplement it. Like, why should I? Like, this is... So in my mind, I was like, you know what? I'll just gather the gift cards and I'll use them for something else later. Like, that was a business expense. Like, I didn't get paid for the work I did, but I paid my staff. I had to pay for materials, but I didn't charge this colleague. So the office took a hit, and these gift cards I'll put back into the office and use at some point. That was that. Well, I kind of, looking back at it, I'm like, But that evening on our office GroupMe thread, the one employee posted a picture of the tree and was like, oh, this was so nice of this doctor to bring by. Well, a lot of doctors bring stuff by, and we've never had a post like that on our thing before. And then the treatment coordinator replied and said, oh, yes, they were so sweet for bringing that for us, or whatever she said. And I'm like, in that quick moment, my thought was, And it was just because the treatment coordinator never replies on this group thread. And so the fact that these two are both kind of talking a lot about this, but I mean, we've been given gift card trees before. We've been like, so I just...
It wasn't just registering. Like, it wasn't
just
connecting.
Odd.
Yeah.
It was a little odd to me. And I kind of went, And then I didn't think anything about it. Well, the next day, and when I was putting away the gift cards, my manager was sitting there and maybe an RDA was around, and I was like, well, this colleague didn't bring enough for everybody to get it. So I'm going to put them away and I'll figure out when we can use them. That was that. Well, the next day, the RDA that had been there comes to me at lunch and she was like, hey, I wanted you to know about some rumblings going on. I just wanted you to have a heads up on it. And I said, okay. And she said, well, apparently somebody in the office said, well, why didn't we get our gift cards? And RDA and manager were like, oh, well, there weren't enough, so she put them away. And she'll use it because she didn't get paid for the case, so she's going to use it for something for the office later. And apparently this employee was like, well, that's not our problem that she chose not to get paid. Like, those gift cards are for us. And so my RDA is telling me this, and I'm just like, like, what? Why do you think you're entitled and owed these cards? So I just said to her, I was like, well, thank you so much for letting me know. And I would go tell your friend, whoever it is, that they're more than welcome to come talk to me and say that to my face. And I can explain to them exactly why I put those gift cards away. So I thought that was the end of it, because this RDA is super sweet. She's not a pot stirrer. So I was like, I bet she's not even going to say anything. Well, she may have said it, because next thing I know, like 20 minutes later, it's lunch. Everybody else has left. I'm just there working on charts and whatever else I'm working on. And treatment coordinator comes in and she says, hey, are you busy? Well, yeah, I'm plodding along on my computer. No, I'm not busy. Like,
just sitting here waiting on you.
Yeah. And so, I don't do much around here. And so, I don't know how I'm still employed by this place. There's very little I contribute around this establishment. So I was like, yeah, no, what do you need? And she said, well, I just wanted to talk to you about something that's been kind of weighing on me. I said, okay. So I still didn't think that this was, because I really thought whoever said this, first of all, I didn't think RDA would go say this to this person. But second of all, I didn't really think anybody would have the balls to come to my face to complain about something that on so many levels was so wrong. So I was not expecting that to come out of her mouth. But she said, well, those gift cards. And in my mind, I was like, oh, hell no, she's going there. Okay, all right. So I just said, and she goes, well, those gift cards, is there a reason you didn't give those to us? Are we being punished for something? And anyway, that's what I'm going to stop and say. Bethany, what would you do?
Well, I'm going to take a moment to expel out of my brain all of my carnal thoughts that are going on right now, and I'm going to be professional here in this moment. And
I don't. I want to hear carnal. This is managing dental drama. Come on.
Nothing that I would say would be productive. So we'll focus on helpful comments. So first and foremost, I would say withhold your fists. Do not apply physical reactions in this moment.
So I can't slap her.
Don't slap.
Okay.
You know, don't punch. Don't stand up and say, "Somebody hold me back." Okay. Let's, resist that if you can in that moment. And then I would also say, take a breath before you respond, because I will say when you presented me with this information, I was really glad that I was alone in my car, because my reaction was just not good, for a myriad of reasons. Anyway, my reaction was not good, and so I would say I could only imagine that your reaction in the moment was also quite...
So why was your reaction not good? Like, what?
You're prodding me to say...
I'm just trying to say, because to me, I do go back and say, like, again, is everybody going to get this exact scenario? And the crux of the scenario is that somebody's asking for something that they do not, that is not theirs. Mm-hmm. And it's a sense of entitlement. And so whether it's another office getting gift cards and employees, it may not be the same situation, but we're often put in a situation where we feel like no matter what we do, it's never enough. Yeah. And so that's how I felt. And I'm guessing, is that what you felt too? Like, how dare this person
assume that a gift for treatment that was rendered is somehow that she's entitled to that, or that the team is entitled to that. So, and I think this comes particularly violently for me, because I know how much you do for your team. I tell people anytime that I have the chance to talk to them about potentially working with you, that you are the most generous doctor that I work with, from an appreciation standpoint for the benefit package. That when I say benefits, I'm not just talking medical benefits, like the whole package. It's a very competitive, like, corporate can't compete with all that you do for your team. And so it's a very, and then you add on all the extra feely things on top of that. I mean, this comment is coming 1 or 2 weeks before your end of summer event, which was thousands of dollars, that you spent on your team to go to this beautiful spa place with these spa services. And so this is coming weeks before a token of appreciation that you don't have to do. That's an elective thing. You chose to take thousands of dollars out of your own pocket to reward your team for surviving summer, for doing their job throughout the summer. And they're receiving a reward for that. So this to me was just, it hit me on multiple levels, because you do so much for your team, but also it was treatment that you rendered. The entire team, they didn't clock out for that. They received their normal pay wages for all the work that they did. So not only are you not earning off of this treatment, you're actually losing on this treatment. You personally. Not the team. You, the doctor, the owner, are losing on this, because you're paying every team member that had an involvement in that case, not to mention the supplies, the time, all of that went into it. You have lost on that already. The team has lost nothing on that. So now these gift cards come in, and for somebody to presume that that is somehow their reward for this free treatment is mind-blowing.
Well, and what she said was, well, the doctor said this was for you guys. Like, this, here you go, ladies, enjoy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So she thinks that that was for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any gift that comes into the practice, and I think this could always be a good topic of conversation that you have with your team. Any gift that comes into the practice, the intention is that gift is presented to the practice owner. Let me take it out of the dental context, because I think, I think we're blessed to have a lot of team members that listen to our podcast as well. And so I think this is a good talking point for our team members that are listening. We just moved into our house. And so let's say my brother were to show up and be like, oh, congrats on the new house. And he brings some flowers to put out on the island. And we're like, oh, thank you so much. So I would receive those flowers. I own the house. Well, the bank owns the house, but I own the house. And I were to put those flowers on the island. And then let's say that I have somebody that comes and cleans my house, and she were to come in and she were to look at those flowers and she were to think, those are beautiful flowers. I would like to take those flowers for myself. Like those, surely I'm a part of this household. I help clean the house and I help take care of it, and I've got ownership in that house. Surely this gift is also for me. I'm just going to go ahead and take part of those flowers and take them home because surely they're meant for me. Quite obviously, this makes it clear. My brother showed up with the flowers for me, the homeowner, and I displayed those flowers on my island. It would be silly for somebody that came and took care of my house to assume that those flowers are for them. When we think about it in that context, we're like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. It is the exact same scenario as what we're talking about here. You are the practice owner. The gift, no matter how it was presented, the gift is meant to be a gift to the practice owner. If I could choose when my, cleaning person comes into our home, I could say, oh, I love you so much. Here, take some of these flowers home with you. I want you to have some of them. But it's my choice in how that gift is distributed. Any gift that comes into a doctor's practice is the doctor's gift, whether that's cake, whether that's cookies, whether that's gift cards, whatever the case may be, it is the doctor's, and then they can choose to distribute that gift however they wish. If they wish to take that cake home and distribute it to their family and not to their team, that is the doctor's prerogative because it is a gift for them, the owner of the practice. I think what makes this one tricky is that cake, cookies, whatever, gift, it registers differently. Gift cards have a dollar amount affixed to them, and so there's value in that. I can live without the piece of cake, but man, that $20 gift card to Amazon, like, ooh, that's actually attractive. That's appealing. I could really use that. And so I think it's okay to be like, oh, I wish I could have one of those. But to presume that you deserve it just because of your involvement in the practice.
That you got paid for.
That
you're doing your job.
Paid for. That is a faulty assumption, and that is wrong. And any team member that we have listening to this, I think you need to be very careful with that. The amount of investment that you, the practice owner, put into that appointment for that child is great. When you look at the dollars and cents of it, you put a lot into providing that treatment for your colleague's child. They put nothing more in than their regular everyday tasks. There's no reward there that they should ultimately be privy to. And so I think the assumption that they were entitled to that somehow, to the point of making negative commentary about it, about you, and then to the point of bringing it to your face to say this bothered me because I felt like it was my gift, that the assumption should have never been that those gift cards, even if she said, this is for all of you to enjoy, it is for the owner of the practice, and the practice owner gets to distribute that as she sees fit. And so that's why it bothered me, is the assumption, and then also the fact that it would be different, maybe. I don't even think it would be different, but let's just assume that you were a prude and never did anything. It's like, no, you clock in, you clock out, there you go. You got it. That's all you get. You don't get any extras. I don't provide you lunch. I don't take you to courses. There is no bonus program. Oh yeah, I give you a Christmas card with, $100 gift card to the store. I do the bare minimum. Okay, then I could see a team kind of being like, well, I wish there was more. But even then, you shouldn't assume it's yours in any way, shape, or form. I feel like
I think that's what it is. If I had been a doctor that's like, nope, this is mine, that's yours. You come in, you work, you get a paycheck, that's it. Get out of here. This is mine, this is mine, this is mine. I think in that case, a tree of gift cards would come in and they would have gone, oh, it's hers. Yeah. It's because I do share a lot of things. But still, in this case, so then what about the comment of, that was her choice to do that work for free?
Mm-hmm. It was. And
so why should we be penalized and not get a gift card?
She could have asked for volunteers on that case. She could have asked for her employees any period of time that you're working on this case. This is a charitable case. So can you all agree with me that as we do this, that you're volunteer? Those are all the things that you could have done that you didn't do. So yes, it was your choice. And it was also your choice to not ask them to volunteer their time for that. So there's two problems that I see with this and how I would deal with it is, number one, the negative chatter, which again, this is the same employee that a week later said this is bullshit. So obviously we've got a major problem here that needed to be out of the office. But the negative chatter alone is not okay. To even make commentary to other people about, why didn't we get the gift card? That should be our gift card. That's not appropriate behavior.
She's stirring the pot, rallying the troops to come and attack me for, look at this. She's stealing from us.
Yeah. So it goes back to this is bullshit comment. It needs to be nipped in the bud. And in that moment, so first of all, when she approached you, you didn't know at that point who had made the comment. Because you're already... She was one of my two. I was like, I bet it was her or it was this other one. You had suspicions, but there was nothing confirmed until she showed up and said something. And so you're being affronted with, holy cow, this is the person that said this. And she is ballsy enough to say it to my face. And so I would say in that moment, if you as the practice owner cannot withhold the onslaught of emotions, which I would struggle with that. In that moment, I would have been instantly angry. And so if that's your default response, then I would say, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I'm going to circle back with you on that. I'll talk with you about it more tomorrow. There's always value in pausing if you feel like what you're going to say is not going to be well thought out. It's going to be too hot, too emotional. Same rule applies to what we've talked about these last couple of weeks. It's not worth putting more fuel on the fire. If you need time to gather your thoughts, gather your thoughts. So if you are a better person than I am and you aren't struck with immediate anger in that moment, then I would say, hey, I understand your question, but any gift brought into this practice, the intention is for it to be the practice owner's, and it's mine to distribute as I see fit. I appreciate you bringing your concern to me, but those gifts are for me, and I will distribute as I see fit. Are there any other questions? No? Then I expect for you not to talk about this with anybody else going forward. Thank you. There doesn't need to be a lot of time. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to defend yourself or justify your actions. Very clear. I get to distribute those. I chose not to distribute them because there was not enough cards to go around for everybody. That was my reasoning for it. And that's all there is to say about it. Please don't continue to speak about this going forward. Thank you. It just needs to be clear and straightforward.
So I was good. I did not slap. I did not strangle. I did not kick. I did not curse. I was good. And thank God for RDA to bring that to me 20 minutes before, because it was already in my mind and I was already like, the hell? So luckily that initial burst of anger, or even it probably wouldn't have even been anger. I probably would have sat there going, what the hell is she talking about? Is this really happening right now? You know, like, because to me, I'm like, I can't imagine. By the way, the gift cards the value was $15.
Yeah.
For $15,
you're
gonna go into your boss's office. Mm-hmm. Like, that already shows such a level of disrespect. Like, you don't respect me. You need to be out of this practice.
Yeah.
So anyway, and I sat on that for a while because I was like, how do I really fire her over this? And I do not like you, but do you serve a purpose being here? Do I just need to get over that? Are you good at your job? Not really, but you have made some improvements, but it's too soon to tell if it's enough improvements or not, but I really don't like you. But so anyway, that was my mindset for a couple of days. And then the bullshit comment. And then I was like, that is it. Like, you are done.
Yeah.
Okay. So, which, by the way, that is pretty much what I said to her was, well, anything that comes in to this practice is mine. If a doctor walked in here with 24 donuts and I wanted to pull those in the back and shove all, 24 in my mouth, those are mine.
Yeah.
Or I could take them to my kids, or I could take them to my kids' school, or I could take them, like, whatever. Yeah. But I choose to put those out for you guys.
Yeah.
And I said, these gift cards, there weren't enough. And so I'm putting them back. But anything that walks in this door is mine. Like, because I'm the one who pays the rent, who gives business, pays paychecks, pays for everything. So anything coming in, like, and so then instead of listening, then she hits me with, but if you took something for somebody else's staff and that doctor didn't give it to them. So there you go. What do you say about that?
So again, I think the fault is on the thinking of the employee. So we've got a situation here where the employee is thinking incorrectly about the situation, and the practice owner in a situation is having to correct that thinking. And so it comes back to, no matter how the gift was presented and what she said when presenting the gift, it is my responsibility to distribute the information. And distribute the gift or distribute how I'm going to deal with it. I think in this type of situation where thinking is in error, she's not thinking about it accurately. I think if we can pull in a scenario outside of the practice, because sometimes they can only see their frame of reference in.
Well, that's a good point, because I think to me, I'm like, how do I not look like an asshole in this? Like, I'm not the asshole, but how do I not going, well, this is for me. This is mine.
Right.
And so, well, she said it was for you ladies to enjoy. Well, I know what she said, but these are mine. Like,
yeah.
How do I come out sounding reasonable with that?
Because,
and if I could have thought of an analogy, that's
that
what
you
I should have
could take it out of. And again, I think even the fact that there was an unevenness with the gift cards, you are responsible for your team. Right? So going back to kind of even though the flowers don't necessarily work here, but what if my brother would have brought in a sandwich tray for a housewarming gift? I have 5 children and a husband. How am I distributing that food tray, that sandwich tray, to make sure that everybody gets an appropriate amount? So even if your intention was to share the gift cards, you still have a responsibility to distribute appropriately to those that you're responsible for within your home, your practice. It's the very same analogy here. You've got this gift card tree. What if you were just like, all right, willy-nilly, y'all just take whatever you want. And then one walks away with 3 gift cards. One was in the bathroom when the tree came in. She didn't even get anything because it was just vultures on a tree of gift card. No, you are judiciously thinking about how you're going to dish that out so that everybody gets a piece of it. You could not, in a fair way, do that without having to lose more and supplement with 3 extra cards, which makes no sense when you're already in the hole on this. So, again, it's not you're like, these are mine, this is my form of repayment. That's never your thought process. Never. You had a situation where you could not fairly distribute what was brought in. Just like if somebody showed up with 6 donuts and you've got a team of 12 people, you're going, oh gosh, how do I make sure that everybody gets a piece of the donut? Either forget it, I'm eating all 6 of the donuts, or I'm going to cut these all in half so that everybody can. It is the practice owner's job to do with it, whatever gift comes in, to do with it what seems right to the team. And it is not done out of a selfishness. It's done out of, I am
figuring out how to distribute or how to pay back the practice.
So I would say I agree, but I'm also going to say no, it might be out of selfishness, because my next question for you was, what if there were enough gift cards and I still chose not to give it to you?
That's your right and prerogative to do that.
So you are not entitled, again, you're only entitled to what you come to work, you clock in, and I pay you for those hours. That is the agreement and arrangement. Why you think you're entitled to something else? And so what she hit me with that, with the, well, but what if you took this for another staff and the doctor refused to give it? I'm like, you're making me sound like I'm some sort of greedy savage, but it's my practice. I'm allowed to be greedy, a greedy savage here, because ultimately that doctor is trying to impress me.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we'll do that for other offices. We're trying to impress the staff, because ultimately a happy staff leads to a happy doctor.
Correct.
It's like when somebody compliments your kids. Mm-hmm. You have beautiful hair, sweetheart. Well, good. That's my daughter. Yeah. I don't have that hair, but she does. And I'm very happy that my kid has that. Like, my kid is happy now. You've made her happy. And now I'm happy.
Right.
So that's the point of the gift giving. But I could not believe I could not believe. You had said something about don't ask what your husband had said about that. What can I ask you now? Apparently this really enraged him too. I want to know.
He was just mind blown because he, knows a lot about you, your practice, your team, and he knows the norms of what doctors do for their team. And so for him, it struck him as the employee doesn't realize all that Dr. Kuba does for her. Like, why would she ask for more when she already does so much for her team? He was like, that's mind-blowing to me, that she would feel like she was being shorted when Dr. Kuba already does so much to go above and beyond.
Well, so then that same day of all of that, she messaged you because she thought she was supposed to get a raise, and I shorted her raise and I was going to back pay. So I'm like, she has this image of me that I'm sly and I'm not giving them what all they're supposed to be getting. And I'm just like, I don't know where
that comes from.
I didn't, I now trying to go back and go, what could I have done to make her think that I'm,
But I don't think it's anything. I think some people are defaulted that way. Whatever life experiences she's had, for her to have a mistrust towards you or a mistrust towards her boss in the past, I don't know. There's something there that just doesn't compute. It seems mind-blowing. I mean, and my husband was like, why, after this scenario, he was like, why is she still there?
Well, she's also the same one that we had talked about, I think, in another episode, about an employee coming in and asking for a raise at the 6-month mark when you were grossly underperforming. And we were like, what? Yeah. So anyway, thank you. Because it's her, not me.
She's the problem.
She's the problem, not me. Okay, so the last
scenario. I'm going
to
have to hold you. Because we're 47 minutes.
Okay, but this is
a good one. I know, but it's like, I know this is going to take us time. Like, I think we may have to leave our listeners on another cliffhanger with this, because this will not be a quick one to unpack.
Okay, yeah, because I this is one that I was visibly shaking over. I was like, how dare you?
You as well as I.
Okay.
So, man, this is like the second week in a row now that we're going to be like, bum, bum, bum.
Yes. This is season 4. We're going to keep you on cliffhangers.
Welcome to season 4.
Thanks for joining the conversation today. We hope that you are comforted in knowing that you are not alone, but we also hope that you're walking away with some really great tips and tricks to try in your practice. We value your feedback, so please take a few moments to rate and review the podcast. Finally, we want to make sure that we're covering the topics that matter to you. So track us down on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and let us know what topics you want us to cover. As always, please know that we are rooting for you today as you manage your dental drama.